Welcome back to tonight's special edition of News Valdosta. We are broadcasting to you live from the campus of Valdosta State University. I'm Grant Palmer. The polls on the East Coast have been closed for 2 hours, and poll workers are continuing to tally up votes for this year's presidential election. Let's look at the electoral votes map. Again, each candidate must secure 270 votes to claim the presidency.
Valdosta State will be hosting the South Regional NCAA Division II men's basketball tournament next month in this building. But Athletic Director Herb Reinhardt says the tournament will be much different this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Early voting has surpassed 2/3 of all ballots cast during the 2016 presidential election. More than 90 million Americans have voted so far. That's about 67% of the total ballots cast 4 years ago. A majority of the states are reporting a record early voting turnout for the 2020 election, including here in Georgia. 16 states have already seen more than half of their registered voters cast ballots ahead of Election Day. Daryl Forges has the story.
An incident at this parking deck at VSU led to false crime allegations fueled by social media posts. But after an investigation was conducted by Campus PD, it turned out to just be yet another case of misinformation. Welcome back to News Valdosta. VSU is ranked among the top 300 colleges and universities for a quality online education. That's according to a recent report. News Valdosta's Serenity Mosley is live in the studio with more on VSU's ranking.
Is Georgia really considered a swing state or more of a toss-up state in this race?
Yeah, I mean, historically, it's not really been a toss-up.
Right, it's been reliably Republican.
Oh, yeah, I mean, right. So the last time Democrats won in Georgia, you have to go back to 1992 when actually Bill Clinton and Al Gore came to Valdosta, right, as part of a bus tour. They went through Valdosta. They won the state of Georgia. But the state has been drifting blue. A lot of that is in-migration from the north.
Demographically.
Thank you. Demographic changes.
Students and faculty of Valdosta State University in absolute shock after learning that the dean of the College of Science and Mathematics was arrested in a child sex sting.
This is the 5th year of the film festival, and screenings are scheduled to be held both virtually and in person with social distancing measures put in place because of COVID-19. The in-person screenings are to be held outside on VSU's front lawn. Over 200 students in the Lowndes County school system are being quarantined due to coronavirus exposure. That's according to a COVID-19 update released last Friday. The update said 58 students were possibly exposed at school and 142 students, along with 10 employees, are being quarantined because of possible community exposure. Lowndes County Schools said for the past 7 days, the system's positive COVID-19 cases of faculty and students are 0.1%. Georgia Republican lawmakers are pushing towards a number of voting changes this week. If the election bill is passed, it would repeal no-excuse absentee voting. The primary sponsor of the bill, Georgia GOP Senate Leader Mike Dugan, explained that the introduction of this bill to the legislation in February was necessary to help reduce the cost of processing ballots. We might not know the results for Georgia tonight because of not voter fraud, but issues with the voting machines in Fulton County. Do you think we're going to see a result tonight in Georgia, or do you think we're going to have to wait until Wednesday? And Florida was a big topic of discussion today. All across the news media, you were seeing record turnout, especially for Republicans in that state. Does it look like Trump is poised to win Florida at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's not been called. It's not been called. But if you're a Trump supporter, the White House right now, I think probably feels pretty good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again, Dr. James LaPlante.
Thank you, sir.
Like much of Georgia, Lowndes County is seeing an uptick in voters this year. Throughout the night, News Valdosta's Darius Solberry will travel to different precincts to get a closer look at what's happening at the polls. The uprising at the Capitol cost taxpayers $480 million to deploy 25,000 National Guard troops to Washington. This was the largest deployment since the Civil War, according to Bloomberg. The company says that the money will cover the National Guard spending until mid-March. However, the cost does not include the $8.8 million the police spent when calling 850 officers to defend the Capitol. The U.S. Capitol Police requested 5,000 soldiers to remain in D.C. through mid-March. And one of the states that we haven't talked about as much tonight, we've been talking about swing states like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, etc. We really haven't been talking a whole lot about Michigan, though. Where do you think Michigan stands in this race? Like everything else in 2020, the coronavirus has also upended the presidential race. President Trump and Joe Biden have taken very different positions and strategies when it comes to campaign during a pandemic. With a sharper focus on the health of the country, Emily Schmidt looks at how COVID-19 is impacting the race for the White House.